Hey everyone, Drew here. Thanks for tuning in again. If you're like me, one of the most annoying things to you about building a beautiful PC is your graphics card. It's going to be filled with massive heat sinks, a beautiful shroud, and efficient fans. But all of that's on the bottom of the card. It's not visible at all once your card is inserted normally as it would be. The solution recently, as far as I've seen, is a lot of people have been choosing to vertically mount their graphics cards. So instead of coming straight up from the motherboard, they'll use a riser cable to allow them a little more freedom in where they place their card, and they'll actually place it in front of the motherboard facing vertically with the fans facing outward. Now, a lot of cases aren't set up to do this, unfortunately. They are set up in a very standardized plug and play way, so you can just plug everything in and it works. No need for riser cables or any other accessories. But if you really want to take your PC's aesthetic quality to the next level, you're not going to be wanting to look at one large circuit board. You're going to want to be looking at a beautiful fan and a beautiful heatsink. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my Corsair 450D and attempting to modify it in a reasonable fashion with as little damage to the case as possible, and of course no damage to the card, and modifying it so that I can mount my graphics card vertically. Now in the UK it is apparently very common to be able to pick up a bracket or at least some sort of support to provide to your graphics card in its vertical configuration. So in that case, all you would have to do is simply do a quick modification to the back of your case where the expansion slots are, and kind of a strip out of it, then mount the bracket, and essentially you're good to go like that. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury being in Canada, let alone in the United States. So I'm gonna have to figure out a little more creative way to do so and have my card remain stable in place and hopefully have as little strain on it as possible. I already have a bit of an idea of what I'm going to do to get this done, and the first step of course is going to be the same as if I was using a mount. I'm just going to be cutting out a strip from the supports between my expansion slots as far as I can go, and making it an appropriate width for the graphics card, and likely grinding those down so that there's no sharp edges or anything after I cut them. From there, I'm going to have to gauge how much stress is actually placed on the card itself once I do have a way to get it securely mounted, avoiding hopefully any wiggling, avoiding any really severe downward gravitational pull, so to speak. And I'm going to see what I'm going to be able to do. If I screw up my case a little bit, I'm not really too worried. I can put everything back just fine and just have a little strip taken out of the supports. It shouldn't have any real negative impacts, especially since they're all screwed in. But with that being said, the only thing left to do is take a look, so let's go. Now, one problem I did run into here was with the screw, which would typically be used to hold it in place in one of the slots. The screw doesn't have anything to grab onto. Now, my solution to that dilemma is literally just going to be to get a nut for the end of the thumb screw here that's going to fit on there and keep it locked in place. Hopefully the nut, I want to get a wide enough nut that it will pad against that clearance that it has to wiggle, and of course something thick enough, and I'll just screw it tight enough that it isn't able to move very much. But other than that, it's going okay so far. I don't have a riser card, so even if I could get it in place right now, I can't test it. So I'm just gonna have to try out the nut here, find a solution or two for everything else in terms of stability, but otherwise it's gonna go pretty well. Here is the finished product. My graphics card is vertically mounted. I did find a solution to the wiggling issue just by grabbing a nut for the thumb screw, as I mentioned before, and I did one at the bottom just to ensure that it was stable. Other than that, no significant wiggle, no significant shifts. I haven't bothered plugging it in because in typical Drew fashion, I am unprepared and I don't have a riser cable. So I can't use it like this at present, but when I can, which should be coming soon, I'll probably update that with the remainder of my Ryzen build. I'll probably grab a riser cable and finish everything up. But as it sits right now, I can't use it like this, but I know that it's going to be secure and stable. I will probably seek an additional support because it does wiggle a little bit, just because all the tension is here and it's loose at the end. So I'll probably grab some sort of support for it, but other than that, we're good to go, and it looks fantastic. Well guys, that's really all it takes. I thought I'd run into a lot more troubles than I did, but everything worked out pretty well, which could speak to the case more than my own abilities. But other than that, we're ready to go with a beautiful change to my system. Thanks for watching. If anyone else tries this out, make sure to let me know and let me see the results that you get as well, especially with different cases than mine. But other than that, I was about 2 weeks between my first video and this one. I do intend to be a little more prompt with them, but this was a larger undertaking than I'm used to at present, and I just didn't have a whole lot of time the last 2 weeks. I will be shooting for a video every week. Hopefully I can deliver on that, and I'm sure as time goes on and I get more accustomed to the editing process and so forth, I'll be able to deliver on that more consistently. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.